All right, how's everybody doing? Good? Awesome. Really happy that you're all here. I'm excited to talk to you about DOKS. So that's our managed Kubernetes offering. So I'm going to dive into kind of the journey of why we decided to build the product, what our goals were, where the product stands today, how we're using it internally to build some of our other products, kind of where we're heading tomorrow, and then we'll open it up to Q&A so you guys can ask me whatever questions you want. So I wanted to start out with this quote. So this is from one of our customers. This is a gaming company that runs on our platform. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's kind of far away, so I'll read it to you. But DigitalOcean's focus on simple features that just work and high-value pricing at scale has resulted in an effortless deployment of Kubernetes. The product has been absolutely instrumental for my team in simplifying our technology stack and focusing on our business. So that really was kind of a lot of the driving force behind us creating this product, because Kubernetes is pretty hard. Setting it up yourself can be a real challenge, and especially the ongoing management, upgrades, dealing with security vulnerabilities, and making sure that you're keeping your system secure is just challenging. So we set out to make it really simple to go from zero, not understanding Kubernetes at all, and having a cluster up and running really easily. And then once you have that cluster up and running, you need to figure out a way to actually get your applications deployed on it. And then we wanted to remove the hassle of management and maintenance. And so to do that, we have things like upgrades built in, where you can actually turn on automatic upgrades. So we'll send you notifications that, hey, a new version of Kubernetes is available, and you can just go in and click a button. If you are responsible for doing that yourself, you're going to be in there tinkering with the API server and many different moving parts. And with our stuff, basically you're going to ensure that your application stays online, you have uptime, and the users of your applications aren't impacted. And then we wanted to give users an experience that they love with pricing that they can understand. So if you go to some other cloud providers out there, you're going to pay kind of like a base price to even use their Kubernetes offering. With us, we give you the control plane for free. So you can come in and you're going to pay the same price. The same price as a droplet for your Kubernetes worker nodes. There's no additional upcharge on top of that to use DOKS, which we think is really exciting. It's actually driven a lot of usage around people coming in wanting to learn. So coming in, launching a cluster, just getting started, a couple of nodes, and then not having to change anything, but being able to really easily scale out from there. And then we wanted to provide actionable insights, so that people can understand what's actually going on within their cluster, because Kubernetes being this dynamic, distributed system, it can be challenging to understand what's actually going on with your applications that you're deploying. So we have built-in metrics. I'll show you a couple slides later, where a couple screenshots of how that looks. And then we wanted to make it really easy to scale when users need to. So within our product, we have this concept of node pools. So you can have, a node pool that's a certain droplet type, maybe like our standard droplets, and then you can have high CPU node pool perhaps for a different workload that you're running. And then you can enable auto scaling, which is really awesome. So we just launched that just a couple of weeks ago, actually. So you can go right into the UI, turn on auto scaling for a node pool. As your workload gets more busy, your traffic's growing, more users are coming to use your application, we'll automatically add workers to the pool, so they'll continue to get an optimal experience. And in turn, when you don't need all those servers anymore, it'll automatically scale back down. So we're really, really pumped about that feature. That's something that users have been asking for a long time. And then really important was we wanted to conform to all the C and CF standards. So we're not doing anything special. This is not like our DigitalOcean specific version of Kubernetes. It's vanilla upstream Kubernetes. So you can ensure that if your app's already running on Kubernetes somewhere else, it's going to work on DigitalOcean. So a quick overview. This is the create cluster screen. So we're actually really proud of this, because if you guys are all familiar with DO, if you've launched a droplet before, you know that you get a single page where it's easy to go from nothing to having your droplet running. It's the same exact experience for DOKS. So you can select the version you want to deploy, and we support a rolling 3 versions. So right now it'll be 1.16, 1.15, and 1.14. And as soon as a new release comes out, as soon as it passes conformance testing and our end-to-end tests, it's available to you, and you'll be able to upgrade your cluster. Then you can select your region you want to run in, and we have DOKS available in basically all of our regions that support block storage. And I don't have the whole thing down there, but more or less you end up giving your cluster a name. You can add tags to it, and then you're off to the races. A couple of minutes later, your cluster's up and online. And then in the settings here, you can enable automatic upgrades and set the time frame when you want it to happen. And we also have built-in insights. So this is great because you can actually break down the insights from the entire cluster. Then you can do per node pool or per worker as well. So you get granular insight into what's happening. And we also have advanced metrics, which will allow you to see actual specific things that are happening within Kubernetes itself, instead of just the workers that make up the cluster. So how are we using Kubernetes and DOKS internally? So we've been using Kubernetes at DigitalOcean for a long time. Before we had DOKS as a product, we've been running basically everything on Kubernetes. So we have a lot of experience and kind of like battle tested, we've been through it before, experience that we were able to take and put into this product. So everything that we do internally is through automated tests and builds. So our developers are able to basically have a hands-off experience where they're sure that things are going to work properly, and then we can stand up a whole new environment for them for canary deployments. And like I said, we use the best practices from all of that time using Kubernetes internally to develop DOKS. And then one thing which I'm really excited about, actually a blog post came out last week that I would have linked it here, but it was awfully long, so I can send it to anybody after this if you're interested. But our new marketplace, marketplace is basically a listing of different applications you can deploy either to a droplet or to a Kubernetes cluster. And the marketplace team actually built their whole product on top of DOKS now. So we're starting to turn DOKS into sort of a base system that we're building a lot of our new products on top of, which makes me really happy because that's getting more feedback on the product, sort of dog fooding it, is really helpful for us as a team. So they have a really interesting blog post about how they've set up global geo load balancing, and they're running a cluster, a DOKS cluster, in basically every single region that we have, and that way their users are getting this really optimal experience. So we're taking a lot of that feedback from them and thinking about our roadmap, where we're headed, and what can we do to create an even more compelling product that then users like you guys can take advantage of. So just really quickly, wanted to touch on some of the roadmap items. So we have an exhaustive list of things that we want to do, and we're really excited about doing. But these are some of the ones that you can expect to see really soon. So we're actually redesigning the way that we deploy our control plane. Right now, it's actually based on virtual machines, but we're containerizing it, and it's going to offer us a lot of really interesting options for things we can do, especially around high availability, and will increase the speed with which clusters can come online. So right now, when you launch a DOKS cluster, the master has to come online first before we can bring the workers up. Once we have made this change, we'll be able to bring things almost up in parallel. So you'll be able to create a new cluster within basically as long as it takes a droplet to launch, like a minute, which is really exciting. And then another one that we're really pumped about is role-based access control integration. So if you guys aren't familiar with RBAC and Kubernetes, it allows you to do really granular permission setting on what users can and can't do. So we're working on integrating that into DigitalOcean's teams and users. So you'll be able to basically go in, create a team or a group within DigitalOcean, and then assign certain things that they can or can't do in the cluster. So imagine a scenario where you have a new developer that you're working with on your team, and you want them to be able to go in and look at things, maybe have read-only access to a certain cluster, but you don't want them to be able to break anything. We're going to get to the point where we can actually do that. So I think that's something that we've been lacking for a while, so we're really pumped about that. Another thing is great is log streaming. So when it comes to debugging, the insights are fantastic, but being able to actually go and see what's happening live with your workloads, on the fly will be really nice within the UI or within the command line interface. And then CRDs. Who's familiar with custom resource definitions or operators? See a hand? That's good. So we're creating basically CRDs for all of our other products. So soon you'll be able to, well, right now there is an open source project that we created for a hackathon about a month ago that'll integrate our database as a service product, which Andre will be coming up to talk about in just a minute. You can basically create MySQL, Postgres, or Redis databases directly through your Kubernetes manifests, which is pretty exciting, right? We like infrastructure as code. We're doing the same thing for firewalls and spaces, which is our object storage product, and others that come along down the line. Our load balancers and block storage are already integrated via our Cloud Controller Manager and container storage interface. So we really want to make it simple to have everything defined in one place, be able to spin these clusters up quickly and easily so that you can get focused more on building your applications and less on the infrastructure. One more thing I'm really pumped about is workload management within the UI. So right now, you create a cluster, kind of step you through how to deploy your application, but then there's no way for you to go in and see how it's performing or how many pods you have running for each one of your workloads. But soon you'll be able to do that, and we'll be able to tie in insights with those workloads in the UI, which will give you a lot better understanding of how things are performing. And then the last one, which I can't even say what it is, we have a KubeCon surprise coming. So if you guys know, KubeCon is happening in San Diego, California, actually in 2 weeks. So I get home from this. I have like 6 days and then I go to KubeCon, but we've been working on something that we're really excited about there. So definitely keep an eye on the blog for that. And obrigado. That's the end of the talk for me. Thank you guys so much.